Hello, world. Your boy Ethos Ananda, the founder OG of Ethos Ananda, Alexander himself, here with my second stream. Welcome all. Technical check. Okay, so the topic today is being human in a subhuman world. On the one hand, I hope you can relate to this so we can have a conversation. On the other hand, I'm kind of envious if you don't relate to me on this one. That means you have many more friends than I do. No, not many more friends, but you're probably feeling like you're a part of a community somewhere, which I don't really have, and I'm not boasting. It kind of sucks, actually. This will also be the first time I'm going to expand on my, I think, first ever blog post on ethosananda.com about the golden rule. So in quick outline, because what we do here is ancient wisdom, so I'm going to walk you through the golden rule as it's typically well known, which is you could call ancient wisdom or timeless wisdom, and then we'll go to the categorical imperative from Immanuel Kant, which I would basically categorized as ancient for modern Western people, and then what I call the Ethos Maxim, which is like an improvement on the other ones. And then we'll go through some modern examples, practical daily examples from the world today, which you may think 2020 is worse than 2019. That's true, but underneath it, it's about the same. The world hasn't changed in some radical way in 1 year. What's happened is there's just been a major event, and that event has catalyzed or brought forth our collective bad karma from underneath the surface, and it's bubbling up big time. So if, like me, you knew that of how subhuman so many people actually are, you won't really be surprised by anything that's been happening in 2020, because I have not been surprised by anything. At the moment, it sucks for me because I'm kind of stuck here in Hong Kong, which I like. I mean, I get to explore this really cool city and I can afford it. So it's not bad, but it's a golden prison, and I'd like to just get home and get away from everything. And there are some, daily experiences I've had here, especially concerning masks, that really remind me how bad people are. That's all it is. The institutions we have, the buildings, the governments, the constitutions are actually totally fine. You can polish them to make them a little better, but we're pretty much all set there, actually. The problem today is culture and people. That's why the world sucks. It's because the people suck. And in many cases, they're actually subhuman. Technically speaking, they're not actually fully fledged humans. And so, how do we deal with a person that isn't a person? Do we give a subhuman the full human rights of a fully fledged human? Okay, I'll cut to the chase. I'll get right here to the end, to the Ethos Maxim, which is basically that you treat others the way, not the way they want to be treated, but you treat others the way you perceive them to be. So the problem there is that, yeah, your perception can be wrong, but if you're a decent person and you are ready to accept fault, it's not a big deal. You just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were like someone else. Did I treat you like a janitor? I thought you were a janitor. Oh, you're a CEO? Oh, sorry. I mean, that's a huge mistake, but it's still, if you're ready to be decent and humble and admit fault, yes, by definition, every decent person will forgive you. quite quickly, actually. The reason why I think many people in the world, especially the West, are not, have grudges against each other and different things like that is because they're not genuinely humble enough. So, like when you really make a mistake and you really know it's a mistake and you really explain that, you don't even have to be like, this is fake humble when you're like, sumimasen, I'm so sorry, that can work. It is effective, but when you are just speaking from the heart and wow, I really made a mistake and that really made your life suck just now. My bad, yo. That's good enough. Like every decent person will forgive you for that. All right, let's get to it. I'll check for comments. Nothing. Okay. Okay, here we are. ethosananda.com/the golden rule. The golden rule. I think this is my first blog post ever. So it's a little bit longer, and I don't have that many blog posts because each one of these I could do like 10 hours of live streaming on. This is actually a treatise more than just a blog post. Maybe I'm not good at blogging. Anyway, here's the golden rule as it is known from Wikipedia. The golden rule is the principle of treating others as you want to be treated. And here's the quote from the Bible: "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." I believe that's from the Torah, the Old Testament. If you are into Ananda, if you're into the Vedas and Eastern wisdom, I actually found a verse in the Bhagavad Gita that I think summarizes the golden rule within Vedic theology quite well. It's chapter 5, verse 7. Quote, and this might be Garuda Das translation. Anyway, quote, "Whose self becomes connected to the self in all beings, that one is not tainted even while acting," unquote. So the way to do and live the golden rule, according to the Gita, is yoga, is union. So when yourself is in union at a deep level of identity with everyone around you, you don't actually have to think about how to treat others. You'll just like empathically, instantly know and just naturally do it. Because this is like the "I Am the Walrus" Beatles song. I am you as you are he as we are all together. It's kind of like that. Okay, so moving on. Here I say, so the golden rule, look, this is a very ancient axiom principle that's universal. Like every ancient text has some manifestation or expression of the golden rule, and it's in almost every culture. But actually, it's flawed. There's some serious flaws with the golden rule. Here's the main problem. What if the way I want to be treated is not the way that others want to be treated? It's like a very it may not be obvious, but it's a very simple and very serious flaw. Moving on. Some people, like myself, like tough love, and others prefer gentle warm-heartedness. So if I can see that my friend needs encouragement, but I know that in the same situation I would need discipline, and I choose to discipline my friend instead of encourage them, I would technically be acting according to the golden rule, once again, which is treating others as you want to be treated. So I want to be, whipped hard by a big, strong man, disciplined really hard, because that's how I grow. That's how I want to be treated. But if someone doesn't want to be treated that way, and I treat them that way, and they go, "Wow, that sucks. You're an asshole. Why did you do that?" I would technically be following the golden rule by doing that, which is obviously wrong, right? So we need to clean up or clarify or, refute this part of the golden rule. It's just not going to work in a universal sense. There's too many subjective differences. So in history, Eastern and Western, the only solid refutation of this that I've seen that kind of clears up the gap is the categorical imperative from Immanuel Kant. This is just like 300 years ago, I think, 1700s, I think, in Western Europe. Oh, we have some comments. Yeah. Good friend J.A. says, most people interpret the golden rule as be nice, which can cause people to be taken advantage of. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, there's actually a whole bunch of problems with the golden rule. And I guess the basic problem is that it's just too broad. It's too vague. So it can only work well in that broad, general, vague sense. But anytime you get into specific details, you can handle it if you're intelligent and ready to handle all the nuance, which most of us are not. Anyway, what is the categorical imperative? This is just how Wikipedia defines it, which is good enough. Quote, act only according to that maxim whereby you can, at the same time, will that it should become a universal law, unquote. So I really like the categorical imperative. I do actually follow it myself sometimes, not all the time, because it's really difficult. Like, if you actually stop before you act in every single action and you think, oh, will this be a universal law for all people in all situations? Okay, yes, then I'll act. And then 2 minutes later, oh, will this be a universal law that everyone can follow in every situation? This is just really difficult, a tedious way to follow action, which brings me to what I hope will be a recurring topic on this channel, which is that the primary downfall of ethics throughout all of history is that even the best philosophers like Kant, like he's in the top 1% for sure. You get this like statement, this maxim that sounds really cool, but like actually using it practically in the real world is a disaster. And we wonder why we're not ethical people. It's like, dude, it's right here. The proof is in the pudding, and all the other idioms. Okay, I'm going to read some more from the blog here. This is like the golden rule in that it's a universal maxim, timeless wisdom, a universal law that we can all follow, but it's not exactly the same. It may look the same in behavior, but there's some precise differences here. The main solution from the categorical imperative, I'm just going to call it the CI, categorical imperative. The phrase universal law, that's how this solves where the golden rule fails. So this means how I interpret universal law is anyone in my situation with my knowledge, with my personality, with my body, and all the other variables would act the same way. So if you're able to take inventory of all those variables, and of course you'll have to admit that no one else will ever be in the same position as you ever, but if you are able to think about it that way, if everyone else was in my situation, my precise situation, what is like the right way or the best way to act considering all those variables, and then act according to that. That is actually what I follow, how I naturally think ethically, like all the time. So it totally works, but as I said before, it's kind of tedious and really difficult actually. Definitely requires intelligence of a specific kind that we're typically not educated in or cultivated in. So let's go back to the first example. I see my friend is in need of encouragement, and I imagine myself in their situation. I would want strong discipline and not some gentle warm-heartedness. Oh, you can do it. Don't worry about it. You're special. I accept you. Following the CI, I would say that it's better to treat my friend how they want to be treated than how I imagine I would want to be treated if I were in that situation. So it seems the CI solves that problem. So I should probably unpack that a bit because that's a huge logical jump. Yeah, I'm really bad at blogging. This is like really dense philosophy, actually. And blogs are supposed to be little short tidbits that you can like easily read and then share and stuff. Anyway, like to me, a blog post is like a book that I haven't published yet. That's more what these are for me. So someone in that situation where you have a friend and they want to improve themselves, and in that situation you want to be disciplined, but you know they want to be encouraged, because in this situation you have that knowledge of how they want to be treated, and it's a better universal law to treat others how they want to be treated when you have that knowledge, versus just assuming that they're like you and you just treat them how you want to be treated. That is a better way to act according to universal law, as we can think about it just simply. Like it's just makes clear sense, right? You treat others how they want to be treated, not how you want to be treated, except those times when you would also want to be treated in the same way. What is the one meta problem here? Oh, I already talked about this. So, oh God, this is so cool. I haven't improved at all in my own spiritual and philosophical advancement since I wrote this blog post. So just like the last live stream, I didn't prepare anything for this really. I just figured, oh yeah, I'll talk about the golden rule and I'll make the thumbnail with the golden rule on it. That's it. And look, I wrote in that blog post months ago the same thing that I'm basically saying now. So we don't want to be constantly moralizing every single action like it's universal law. This part of ethics is just really boring and difficult. So moving on to what I'll call the Ethos Maxim, the best parts of the golden rule and the best parts of the CI combined to form a new universal rule. So you can already see here, it's a lot different than, it's a lot longer than the other ones. So that's already an improvement, I think, because I don't like these universal laws that are just like, it's like a meme, right? That's what the golden rule kind of is. It's kind of like a meme. It's like you kind of like nod your head and you go, oh yeah, that's cool, that makes sense. But it's not really actionable. So I hope the Ethos Maxim can give us more of an actionable way to live in the actual practical daily basis. JA says moralizing every single action is pretty insane, especially now. So yeah, I think I agree, but I hope you can just clarify by especially now. Like in my heart, like I agree with you and I vaguely know what you're talking about and agree. But so my whole point here with this live stream is that actually being a human in a subhuman world or being an ethical person in an unethical world, there's actually nothing different. As I said at the beginning, 2020 is no different than 2019. We're the same people. Like 0.1% of people on this planet are fundamentally different people this year than they were last year. The only thing that's changed is these big crazy events like COVID-19 have just bubbled up to the surface a lot of bad karma, which was already there anyway. So if you're like me, where you really live in this world of karma and ethics and so on, you already know that it's there. And yes, it's more, okay, so it is more difficult now thinking about moralizing every single action, but it's way more important now to do that than ever. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing all this. And I'm really happy about that, to be honest. Like, yeah, we'll get into more examples later. Okay, what is the Ethos Maxim? Quote, treat others as they appear to be, acting in each moment on the assumption that our perception is true and accurate. In hindsight, remember that our perception can be faulty, unquote. So you can kind of see how there's a weird rhythm in this maxim, right? It's a lot different than the other ones, but the second sentence is like a guiding mechanism, or it's like it checks the first part, so that these weird little examples where the logic doesn't work, you have this self-checking mechanism that keeps the engine going accurately. And I also especially wrote this ethos maxim for people like me who are largely present, living in the moment, and mindful. So when you're in this state of consciousness, on a habituated daily basis, you can't live always questioning your perception. You have to, it just doesn't mechanically work. For people who aren't living as much in the moment, actually you can, but for those of us who are really grounded in presence, for whatever reason, some people get there by just paying attention to their breath for a long time, meditation on the breath. You could be just really good at sports. Like, there are people like that who are just really good at basketball, and they just do so much basketball that that state of mind they're in when their adrenaline is going and they're in the game, it just brings them in the moment, and that just generalizes to the other parts of their life as well. So someone like that, you're living in the moment. You can't be questioning your perception all the time, but also you can't really take everything blindly either. So there's kind of a golden mean there, but it's closer to the side of you just have some faith that your perception is accurate. So if I'm dealing with someone, I think, wow, that person's stupid. That's kind of a gut response you might have sometimes, oh, that's dumb. Just go with it. And later you can think about, oh, was that correct or not correct? Oh, wow, that person looks really smart. Maybe, oh, she's beautiful. Maybe I should go talk to her. It's yeah, go with that. That's why your intuition in those situations is totally accurate. And you just got to go with that. And treat it exactly as it is, as it appears to be. And you could be wrong, but if you just treat every moment and every action and situation like that, oh, this is even deeper than the golden rule, I think. This is now it's getting more spiritual, where it's you're living in truth. This is no longer just acting ethically. Now we're actually talking about living in reality, in your truthful, subjective reality as best as you can. And then, of course, here's the second sentence. In hindsight, remember, our perception can be faulty. So as long as you have some time in the day to reflect on what happened and go, oh, I thought that person was an idiot and I treated them like an idiot. Was the perception accurate or not? For now, that's enough. You don't have to worry so much if your behavior was good or not, because that will naturally improve anyway, just with practice. I'm going to read some comments here. Yeah, J.A., you're right. People are pressured by so many outside forces now more than ever. So acting on instinct is more natural than thinking everything through. Totally, bro. And this is why I've been getting bothered in certain situations with this COVID situation in Hong Kong. By the way, Hong Kong has now mandated mask wearing in all public places throughout the entire state here. So earlier today, I went to a famous wonton noodle place, genuine, authentic Hong Kong little street corner food wonton shop, so good. As I'm leaving, that's kind of dumb, right? You should say this as I'm coming in. As I'm leaving and we're paying the bill, she says, "Oh, you're not allowed to wear only that mask. You have to wear the other mask. Let me show you." So this is what I'm wearing now. For those who are just listening audio only, this is like it's like a pair of glasses with a plastic shield attached to it, and that's it. So I'm not wearing a surgical mask. I'm just wearing this plastic shield, which is great. I want to wear this everywhere I go because I can breathe totally fine. And after you wear it for a while, you don't even notice you're wearing it. So I'm happy I found this little mask here. It's dirt cheap too. Anyway, as I'm leaving the restaurant, she says, "Oh, by the way, like you can't do that. You have to wear the other mask too." And we were leaving, so I was just ready to get out of there. But I was no, this doesn't get steamed up. It's a bit far. It's far enough away where there's no steam. It's really nice. And you can make these yourself, and they're reusable. I think this is another one of these conspiracies where it's like, all right, even if I bought this in Hong Kong for 12 Hong Kong dollars. That's less than $2. But look how simple this is. You can easily make this yourself using for same price or less. It's just a piece of plastic mounted on a frame. This is so easy to make yourself. And it works better. According to the science, this should work better because this plastic is not porous. Nothing is getting through here. And it's protecting my eyes as well. And no, it doesn't cover my ears too. But yeah, you have eye protection as well. And the only way any kind of air droplets, is that what they're called, will come in is through the side. Yes. Is it possible that some crazy wind will shoot some dash of air in there? Yeah. Who cares, man? Of course it's better than those dumb masks. And nobody can make money off these plastic masks. They're too reusable. They're too easy to make. So no one's selling them anywhere. And no one's telling you to wear these because they know that goes against their little scam. Say, there is a vegan mother of 3 looking for work during COVID, and the only thing she can find is work at McDonald's. Usually she may feel morally conflicted enough to not even consider applying. Yeah, dude, great example. That sucks. Yeah, normally there's going to be many small businesses open, but now, hey, many places, just McDonald's, just Walmart. And if you are like me and you really don't like these multinational corporations, you would never consider applying. But if you're out of a job, you're not getting one of those stimulus checks or whatever, you're going to have to consider working there. Well, for me, as a virtuous young single male, I would not be so much as thinking as how can I get money, but how can I how to say this? I don't want to say get revenge on others, but for me, these are sort of the time where, all right, look, I'm very comfortable now. I have a lot of money saved up. But if I was in a hellish, demonic place, like, I don't know, some American city, and I had zero money, and it come to either, selling my soul to McDonald's or going into some place and taking what I need by force, I would definitely be closer to the latter. Once again, as a virtuous, meaning brave, and not going to accept disrespect or dishonor, single male, young male. Even if I was the same person I am now, but I was married with children, I can't risk, maybe going to jail and not seeing my kids for it's not even on the board. Yeah, I would totally work for McDonald's, even as a vegetarian. Yeah. So, but that's a universal thing, as I've been saying before. Like that's the same ethical choice you're always going to have anyway. Uh, when you have kids, when you have dependents that you have to take care of, it changes the landscape of every ethical decision you're going to make. And for me, as a single, Sicilian DNA man, like this COVID isn't changing anything. It's just bringing up to the surface my own nature, which has always been there. And thank God I'm where I am now. And thank the others who would thank me that anyway. Um, yeah, I think my mom and other women are now into the thing of making face masks. Oh, it's so cute, like, yeah, I don't know. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to move on in the blog post here. So in this same example we did before about the friend who wants some encouragement, I would simply encourage my friend because that's what they need in that instant. So to use the golden rule as it's been talked about before, I would have to stop for a moment and think, how would I want to be treated in this situation, and then act on that. But according to the Ethos Maxim, I'd be hanging out with my friend, and I as soon as I get the perception and intuition, so to speak, that they want to do something and they want encouragement, I just give them encouragement like instantly without doing any thinking at all. And so we already have our solution to the problem we talked about earlier, which is, oh, how am I going to moralize every little thing? If you want to do that, you can. That's what the second clause is for. In hindsight, remember, our perception can be faulty. So after, and this will happen naturally anyway, this is, guys, once again, let me explain to you who I am. I am not a philosopher in an ivory tower who schemes on the right way to mingle words together. Oh, I'm living in the world. This ethos maxim I have naturally discovered and been using for months or years. I'm not sure how long, but a long time. And it's this blog post and this stream I'm doing is just the natural evolution of my life. I'm happy I'm now at a point where, yeah, I've got it down to 2 sentences, and I can clarify it more and more, and polish it more and more. That's craftsmanship. This is actually grounded in reality. You start by sculpting out the rough shape, and then the skeletal structure, then the muscle structure, then the skin. This is just nature. And ethics can be just as natural and craftsmanly as anything else. So I hope people can pick up on that and join me in the ethical life. Okay, I see a new comment from Stephen Adams. I don't want to say your full name it's from Stephen. And this looks like a really personal comment, so I don't know if I should read it, but okay, you were homeless in a bad situation. Oh, had to suffer tetanus jab. The YMCA took you in. And if they didn't, you'd be out on the frozen pavement. That sucks. I'm a little confused. They mass immunized all residents, yet you still had to suffer the tetanus jab? Ooh. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but then, all right, now this is going to bring up the whole vaccine issue, right? It's like if they all have immunity, then you would only get the tetanus jab just for your own self. They wouldn't need to do that to protect others, I think. Yeah. All right. All right, so I'm with my friend. He wants encouragement. And as soon as I notice that, bam, I just do it. I give him encouragement in that instant. Now, in hindsight, I might learn that he was acting. I use they in my writing, so I don't have to switch between he and she, which is really funny because I'm actually, very much on the anti-gender pronoun. So I'm not a leftist, basically, right? But it's actually way more convenient to just use they. And because I don't want to shut off half of the population from listening or enjoying or using my work. So I'm just going to use they. In writing. In speaking, I can use he. I don't care. So maybe he was acting like he needed encouragement, but he would have benefited more tough love discipline. So maybe I was wrong, And if in that instance I did act according to the golden rule and I knew, I would like tough love, so I'm going to give him some tough love, that would have worked. But in this instance, according to the Ethos Maxim, that would have been wrong, but it's no problem because we have the second clause here. So you reflect on it. You make note, my perception was wrong. I have new information now and knowledge of my friend, knowledge of my own ethical advancement and so on. And it just keeps going up, right? So in a future scenario, there's a higher chance that you'll act differently in a better way. But even so, in any future scenario, I would only act based on what I was perceiving and knowing at that moment, based on intuition and perception, not on rationality or knowledge or ethical thinking. This is really interesting. We haven't even gotten halfway through this. This is so funny. Like, this is actually a transcendental maxim. I didn't even realize as I did this. It's because it's getting to a deeper level of consciousness. It's just by accident fulfilling ethical requirements, which is so dope. Mass vaccination plan. Yeah, I'm not a scientist, so I can't talk about, vaccinations in that sense. But in terms of ethos, in terms of the kind of characters of the people like Bill Gates who are trying to push vaccines on us and Fauci, and then on the other side, people like, I think his name's Andrew Wakefield. I just saw another documentary about this. People who are on the, you call it anti-vax for short, but really it's just people who don't care. Vax, no vax, I don't care. I just want it to be safe. That's actually the real name of the anti-vax movement. They're just saying, yo, let's be safe. And that's a revolutionary act in a industry that is all about profit and zero about ethical concerns for humans and their environment. And this will, in every chance, in every case where you have a person who cares more about profit than ethics and humans and the environment, you can teach them ethics and they will change. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. But when I say teach someone ethics, I really mean reveal to them ethos or remind you of what you already know, which is good people are better than bad people. And yes, one common way we get people to be good is by punishing them and shaming them and guilting them. And that is not the way that Aristotle did it. It's not the way that I see in the Vedas. This way actually works really well. Well, for someone like me who's at 16 years old, I was already on the path enough to be inspired by verses that talk about the ideal person. For some board executive in some vaccine company, that's way out of my qualifications. How to save them, how to bring them back to ethics. You can't escape ethics. That's the thing. It's our character. So some people are vicious, some people are virtuous, like, and there's a spectrum of it. And we're all on that. You can't ever escape it. You can transcend it, but that's it. Like, it's part of our world, it's part of our reality, and it's a very high, not dense, but like a superordinate part of our reality. It's a level higher than politics, than economics, but because we forget about it and we just think, oh, the food that I get in my belly is more important, yeah, things are going to get worse. As long as that's true, things are going to get worse. Okay, moving on. I hope you can see how this way we can combine a universal maxim with the cultivation of virtue of character, so we have a simple rule to follow in every instance, and at the same time have a way to improve ourselves in the long run. So that is the ethos maxim. That's what you get from following this maxim that you don't get from the golden rule or the CI from Kant. As our perception and knowledge improves, it becomes easier and more obvious how to best act in any situation. So there's an exponential curve here. Ethics, like craftsmanship, as I said earlier, just gets easier and better the more you do it. But you have to first be aware of this as an actual mode of reality and then start practicing it. That is, you put on your white belt, then you get a yellow belt, then you get a green belt, and right about that level, that's when you really get to have fun. And most people are nowhere near that. So going back to our main topic about subhumans, within the martial arts belt system, a subhuman is someone who doesn't even have a white belt. Like they either haven't even started, or they haven't even set foot in the dojo, or they're against the idea of a dojo. So these like leftist, postmodern, neo-Marxist, like, Antifa type people, they're actually worse than subhuman. A lot of the times they're anti-human, which is worse than subhuman. Subhuman means, like, if we bring you back to the idea of a rational spiritual humanity, you might start to get a taste for it, and you might come back to the light. You just got caught up in the darkness for a bit, but there's something there that we can work with. But oh man, if you're anti-human, anti-truth, that's out of my jurisdiction as a teacher and a coach. And if I'm living in a place surrounded by these people, what will I do? Well, I can't say it publicly. So what I've done is I don't live there anymore. I don't live in those environments anymore, because it just, like, it cannot mechanically work. There's no way it can work. And I think I'm not the only one in my position, in my level, so to speak, who has come to the same conclusion. For example, the Dalai Lama and Sadhguru, these are great spiritual masters of our time, they don't travel to America anymore like they used to, like quite a bit in the 90s, 80s, maybe early 2000s. Now they don't ever go there anymore. Or like they do, but it's like very well choreographed, and there's not so much Q&A. Like they're trying to really distance themselves from all of the toxic muck that's going around, which is technically vice in ethical language. You can use spiritual language like sin, but it's the same thing. Yeah, I agree with JA. I don't want any more vaccines. I can't see a single reason why I would get another vaccine ever again. Yeah, YouTube doesn't want me to put that comment, but I will, and I will say it again. Most modern leftists, we should actually say Western leftists, or I want to say that because, I'm an expat living in Asia for so many years. Like there's not like one world. There's two worlds. There's East and West. But there's many more than two worlds, actually. But most modern Western leftists would be beaten to death in Soviet Russia and Pol Pot's Cambodia. That's either true, or it's even worse than that. Meaning, most modern leftists are communists. They're doing the same thing that the Soviet it's the same thing. It's communism. So, some of the communists, like I saw there's a Netflix series on Trotsky. It's in Russian. It's very well done. You have to watch it in subtitles. But like Trotsky started, like many other people like this, he started out as an intelligent, revolutionary spirit kind of guy who wanted real equality and good things. And he started to really get the people all warmed up, and it was nice until he gets in power. And then he said, oh, look, there's people encroaching on my power. Well, I better execute them. And it's like, and that's what happened. He started actually executing the people. Like just like farmers and peasants, the same people he claimed to be protecting and doing this whole revolution for. But as soon as he got in power and all, it becomes an institution. It becomes a dogma, the revolution. We just have to do whatever to keep the revolution going, to keep winning. And that's not an ethical decision. So yeah, ethics transcends into institutions as well. It's a dimension of life that you just want to, that's the key. You just want to stay on this dimension as long as you can. It doesn't matter if you're vicious or virtuous. It really doesn't matter. Because if you're vicious and you just know that and you repent, you get better. And if you're virtuous and you go, wow, I'm pretty good, but I don't know, I want to be a lot better, then you then you just keep getting better. You just always want to stay in that dimension. I think one of the key anchors to keep us in the ethical dimension is honesty. That's it. I could be biased there. That could be my own, just like love and obsession for honesty as the ultimate virtue. Basically, it's the ultimate spiritual virtue. That's why I like honesty. And honesty is a moment-to-moment, millisecond-to-millisecond virtue, actually. Internally, like every thought that pops in your head, you can accept it or reject it. And honesty is like saying yes to everything. You don't have to agree with it. It's not yes in agreement. It's more like, yes, existence is happening. This is not happening. And maybe I suck, but I'll keep working. Or maybe I'm great and that's great. But you just accept. Yeah, spiritual acceptance is a form of honesty. I think that's why I like it so much. All right, I'm going to go back to the blog post. Guys, I'm not going to lie. There's one simple reason why I'm sharing this, and it has nothing to do with any fancy pants ethical philosophy. It's a very real problem in my life that causes me spiritual suffering. The moral spiritual dilemma I often face is this: how do I treat others who are so broken as people and fallen as souls that I sometimes struggle to even see them as human? I wish this was a problem I didn't have, but it's real. And I have to be honest with myself and find a way out of this hole. Okay, once again, I'm like reveling in my own progress or just the situation I'm in. Like, this idea of doing this live stream now, it just, kind of came naturally. But look, this paragraph is proof that I've been working on this for a long ass time. And this COVID thing, it's nothing new. When did I do this? May 4, 2020. That wasn't that long ago. What is it? August, June, July, August? That's it? Oh my God. That's another thing with the times now, is like time is just different in this year. June, July, August. That's really only 3 months? Ugh. May 4th. That was just like 1 month before. Yeah, 2 months before I left China. Anyway. So yeah, I've been working on this for a while. I guess that's all I'm saying is this is a daily thing for me. And the Ethos Maxim, which I have here, it totally works. And because I found something, that works, and I was able to explicate it in a way that I'm happy enough with, it became a blog post. And because I'm basically pressured to make this live stream. Now I'm making this live stream. It's not social pressure. It's more like spiritual pressure. Like, because I know to myself, like, even if no one watches this, this is like really important stuff that I need to get off my chest. I need to like just keep working through this. And anyone else who's in a similar situation, I know they're in a similar situation, and they're going to want to see other people how they're dealing with this. Moving on. What I've learned to do from study and practice is really simple. I treat others as they appear to be, exactly as the ethos maxim above dictates. So if someone looks like, sounds like, acts like a pig, but they have a human body, to me, that means they're mostly a pig, and I treat them mostly as a pig. So yes, I know that sounds so horrible, but here's why it actually works really well. First, you have to imagine this dispassionately first, or in a detached and like, very rational meta-awareness kind of sense. So I mean this very literally when I say pig. Like, what is a pig? A pig is a mammal. It's, yeah, sure, it's kind of dirty, but it's just a mammal, like a giraffe, like a squirrel. Like, to me, all of these mammals are basically the same, and they're basically my friends. Some are cuter than others, but most animals leave me alone, and I kind of like them, to be honest. Like, pigs have never done anything bad to me. They're just a little dirty, and they like to, eat up shit, I guess. But I like animals. I like mammals. Even lions and tigers that could kill me potentially. Like, I think they're beautiful. So when I say treat someone as a pig, like, I guess that means instead of giving them some 5 Michelin star gourmet meal, I'd be more likely to give them the scraps. But other than that, I can pet them. I can get to know them. Like, I'm fine with animals. I actually like animals more than humans who act like animals and pretend like they're not animals. So the real situation here is that these people I'm referring to as subhuman are actually lower than subhuman. So this is quite a mess. Okay. Okay, moving on. Yeah. So you can see, yeah, this is the same thing I wrote 3 months ago. So conceptually, rationally, intellectually, yeah, I haven't really improved that much in 3 months. But what really matters is our progress in terms of our character, that is our ethos, and our spiritual realization, self-realization, which I would call ananda in a simple word. So if I saw a pig walk across the street, I wouldn't be at all concerned. Treating someone like they're a pig is not necessarily problematic. And it's the same thing with sheeple. This is actually an even better example. So a sheep, what is a sheep? It's fluffy, it's harmless, it's kind of cute, it makes funny sounds, and you can make a lot of money with them. Sheep are awesome. Okay? So, like, treating someone or something like they're a sheep, I mean, the only way that could be bad is if you're like kind of exploiting them for their wool and being mean to them in the process, which sure is possible, but it's typically a minor thing. Like, even, professional like sheep shearers, which I saw in New Zealand, like I saw this right firsthand person right in front of me. There's just a moment where you have to bring the sheep into the right pose where they're like sitting on their butt and up, and so, and they don't like, they don't want someone to just, they're just like us. They don't want someone to just grab your body and force it into a pose. Like, they like their freedom, but as soon as you get them in that state, and then they feel the warm shears going through, they kind of like it. They kind of just go into a trance, and they don't mind. And especially if you do this in the right time of year where they're not cold after, like, it's not a big deal. It's just a haircut, bro. So someone who sounds and acts like a sheep, but they're in a human body, is to me mostly a sheep, and I try to treat them accordingly. I say try in all caps here because I fail. Because like most people, I was raised to treat people like people, right? And I think that's actually a serious mistake. We should treat everything as it appears to be. Maybe we're wrong, but if on a moment-to-moment basis I see X and I treat it as X, I see Y and I treat it as Y, that's living truth. That's living with the truth. So actually, and this is actually sounding more of a Western thing too. It's more, that's like logos. Whereas, but it might go against Dharma. Like I might appear like, so with what I saw earlier where some lady is saying, oh, you have to wear the second mask. And I might say, oh, you're being an idiot. Like, come on. What are you talking about, the law or just your own little feelings, which I don't care about? That's how I naturally act in those situations. But according to Dharma, like she's my elder and I'm a foreigner in her country, in her city. So I'm being an asshole. Like even though it may be right according to my perception and according to the situation we're in, where like if I do kind of put her in her place, she'll be less likely to be an asshole in the future, and that's good. But actually, according to what I know about Dharma and actually living in Eastern countries for a long time, this Ethos Maxim actually is kind of a bad idea. It's actually really dangerous and kind of like subversive, actually. But once again, this is just what I have come up with naturally over time in a way that just works for me, because I am still mostly a Western. Well, my body is like Sicilian and Russian. That's my DNA, and not very American. I'm American in the 18th century sense, but not in the 21st century sense. I just have an American passport. Yeah, don't get too cheeky. Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to elders, like an elder woman, especially if she's being polite about it, yeah, you can't, like in Asia, anywhere, you can't be like, yo, well, let me tell you how this works, a woman. Like, you got to be really careful. You can't do that. You just can't do that. But the other situation that happened, it was a fucking teenager, like boy. It was just a wimpy little cockroach of a boy telling. It was the same thing. It was as I was leaving. He said, "Oh, by the way, you should put a mask on." I'm like, dude, are you a cop? Are you my bro? Are you my dad? Like, what are you doing? So actually, in that situation, I was justified to kind of knock him down a notch. But actually, in that situation, I didn't. Mostly because I can just leave. If it's a customs officer who's going to grant me access and a 3-month visa, or someone working at the bank who has access to all my money, I'm going to act differently. But in that situation, it was way easier to be like, oh, geez, goodbye. Like, I actually tried going back to that same coffee place today, and I got there 5 minutes before they opened, and I was like, should I wait and then try again? No way. I'm going to go to this other place, which worked out so much better. They make pure, authentic French boulanger, bakery, pastry stuff. Oh, so good. Caprese baguette. It's so good. Yeah, so once again, for me and for others like me, the Ethos Maxim totally works. And it's easy for me to say, yeah, try it and see, but it's much deeper than that. I think just like all kinds of wisdom, genuine wisdom, you will see. It's not about try or don't try. Like, you will get to this stage eventually, in this lifetime or the next. That is wisdom. It's not something, it's intangible, right? Like, you can't point at it in a microscope, but it's very real and it's there, like, eternally. And it's like the martial arts belts. Like, Everyone starts off at a white belt, and then they get to the next belt, and then the next one. This never changes. Yeah, sheep are gentle creatures. They're no threat to anyone. Yeah, context is important. So, yeah, and that's a critical aspect of ethical thinking. Like, context is huge. Context is what changes what is good and what is bad. Context is huge. It's like Hippocrates, basically the founder of Western medicine. I think he said, it's the dose that makes the poison. So alcohol can be very beneficial in certain doses, especially on the external part of your body. It's a disinfectant. And Abraham Lincoln, I think, said that using alcohol in moderation gave him the best insights he ever had. And I have experience with this in the same way. But if you drink too much alcohol, you're dead. You can literally kill yourself by doing that. So just as the dose makes the poison, it's the context that makes virtue or vice a lot of the time. The only exceptions are things that are either absolutely good or absolutely bad. And those are not ethical. Those are divine or evil. Those are happening in a spiritual dimension, which is a different dimension. So like adultery, that's one of the main examples that Aristotle uses. He says adultery and murder. And I would caveat murder by saying cold-blooded murder. But adultery is just bad. There's no like good context to do adultery. You can't like do adultery in the right amount and then it's good. It's just bad. Now, even in the modern world, in the modern Western world, if you're married and you have an open relationship and then you have sex with other people, that's fine. And that's not actually adultery. We have to define adultery as what it really is, which is when you commit to someone and you say, I won't be with anyone else but you, and they give the same commitment to you, and then you go against that vow in any way. That's simply wrong. Absolutely wrong. There's no context there. It's simply evil. I have different definitions of evil, but yeah, it's better to say absolute. It's absolutely wrong. And the counterexample that I myself put into the Ethos book is, so what action is absolutely good? And for me, it's sacrificing yourself to save an innocent life. There's like that. There's no like bad way to do that. I mean, I guess if you sacrifice yourself too much, but as long as you're successful, if you're helping others at your own expense, I think that's just pure. I think that's just beyond virtue. It's just absolutely good. Guinness has lots of iron. Good for your immune system. Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure where that's coming from. This is a really good sentence here. J.A. Open relationships are just men being weak. That's like, when I first saw that, it was like, dong. I heard like a really big gong sound, like really deep. Like I have to really meditate on that for a while. Like it just sounds true at the first glance, but like really why it's true, I'm gonna work on that. So there's two different genders. Is it the same both ways? Like, if we assume a world with no condoms, with no abortion, yeah, you absolutely cannot have this stuff. Like, if you're married and for the sense of having children, and you just say, well, I found someone I like, I'm going to go bang them. That's just bad both ways. And it's typically, well, you could say it's the women being weak, because it's typically the men who want to have an open relationship more than the women, right? And so the men, it's more like, I think it's like the men are being stupid. Like they have an instinctual feeling to like just go bang broads, right? But they're just being stupid. They're forgetting that like they need to commit to the woman for a greater result for themselves and the society. And then the women might be weak in the sense that they'll say, oh, well, you just pull out. It's not that bad as long as you make the money, as long as you're a breadwinner, I guess I'll be okay with that. But I can't say. I don't have enough experience to, if that's how it actually happens in real life, I don't know. Like I said, I'd have to meditate on that for a while. So the problem for me comes when I expect too much of others. When I treat someone as a fully fledged adult while they are saying things so immature and stupid that most children wouldn't say, it's really a kind of injustice. And this is what bothers me still to this day to a large degree. Like the two examples I said earlier at different restaurants around here, they're literally committing an injustice against me. It's a small injustice with just words, so it's not something I'm going to gripe and complain on and on about, but it was simply indecent of them to act that way. Now, if they were a policeman and they said, oh, look, according to this law, you must wear a surgical mask with loops around the ears, and I see you are not doing that. Please, sir, could you wear one of these masks? I would say, yes, sir, and I would fucking wear the mask. Like, that's just both ways. It's just for the policeman to say that to me in that way, and it's just for me to say, yes, sir, I'll do that. That is justice and decency. But some fucking teenager in a coffee shop saying, instead of saying, how may I take your order? What would you like, for here or to go? Instead of doing that, he says, well, I think you have to wear a mask. Oh, really? Is that in the law? Did you read the law? Yeah. Oh, really? Okay, so it said like surgical mask with loops around the ear. It says specifically that mask. Well, the police came in and they can give you a warning. Oh, really? So you talked to the police? Well, they can though. Oh, okay. So it's not about the law. Well, it's highly recommended that you wear this kind of mask. I'm not exaggerating. That's exactly the conversation I had. He started out with, it's the law, you have to do this. And he ended up with, well, it's highly recommended. It's like, dude, just make up your mind. Either it's the law and we should follow it, or it's a social custom and I genuinely don't care. Or maybe I do care. Like living in Japan in a very sophisticated culture like that, like if the social culture is in a certain way, I'm actually quick to kowtow to it because I know I'm in a lower situation and I benefit by doing that. But it's really tricky in Hong Kong. They're in the middle of both worlds. They're like half Chinese, half Japanese. So it's like I don't know how to how to do about this. It's like New York. Dude, it's just not. It's interesting though. It's really funny. Back to the post here. It seems nice to be nice to everyone, but if niceties get in the way of higher virtues like honesty and education, they should be dropped. Okay, that needs to be repeated many times. This is my fundamental grievance with New England and Anglo-Saxon culture in general. You want to be polite, go knock yourself out. But if your politeness starts to degrade your honesty into dishonesty, that's no longer politeness. That's you're being a shitty person, and you have to stop doing that. Like, period. The only way you can justify doing that is by saying that justice matters less than people's feelings and how you your relationships and matriarchy. That's what it is. It's matriarchy. It's female vice and matriarchy. I don't actually mind if women rule the world. Like, I honestly don't mind. If they're good women, that's great. If they're bad women, that's bad. This is ethos. This is ethics. This is what happens when you actually are living on that dimension. There's no such thing as men or women or animals or humans or sheeple. None of that shit matters. Because even within a realm, a really terrible, lowly, degraded group of people like sheeple, like there's actually good sheeple. Like, that's what it was like for me living in mainland China. I'm surrounded by sheeple. They're very ignorant. They're very meek and humble. And they're just, oh, yes, sir, yes, sir. You can easily walk all over them, but they're actually good. Like, they have a good heart. They're generous. They're funny. Like, they have some good virtues. And if they really do something so wrong and so stupid, and you say, hey, that was so wrong and so stupid, they go, oh, shit, man, sorry. And like, could you tell me a better way to do that? I'm like, yeah, I'd love to. So that was really fun for me. And it still is, but that's also the main reason I left. It was because instead of being good sheeple, now they're starting to be bad sheeple, and I'm getting the hell out of there. This is great. We must accept that everyone goes through this journey at different speeds. When we treat people as they are right now and not who we expect them to be, we are actually respecting and honoring them. For many in the situation I'm referring to, sheeple, they don't want to be explicitly reminded of their degraded state, but deep down, they know who they are and want to be treated honestly, as we all do. Just like everyone else, like whoever I am at my fundamental core, I want you to treat me like that. And then within that category of behaviors of treating me as who I deeply am, there's a good way to do that and a bad way to do that. And sure, I will prefer someone who does that in the good way to do that. That makes me feel happy and respected and so on. Of course, I'm going to prefer that. And I won't like the bad ways. So I guess the problem that I have is I'll sometimes just blow up at people and get a bit too angry. I'm also in a habit of doing that because I'm an English teacher of Chinese kids, and that's how they learn. Like, you have to be kind of, even girls, boys, whatever age, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to be strict and hard on the discipline. This is part of being Chinese. This is part of growing up with parents and aunts and uncles and teachers. This is just their culture, Okay, here's one example of a time I did this and it worked beautifully. Oh, this is a really nice story. Oh, dude. I was at a hostel in New Zealand in Rotorua, talking with some college kids staying. There was a lot of young, like 18-year-old kids from like Germany and Canada, different places staying there. I don't remember what the girl said, but my first reaction was something like, wow, that's dumb and obviously wrong. But instead of instantly responding, I looked carefully at her face. I saw that she was smirking, and what she was really doing was trying to see if the boys would submit to her. She was shit testing. So this had nothing to do with forming like a logical argument as I do. She's just not trying to do that. And this was really just a cute young girl acting like a cute young girl. So I said, oh, she's so cute, ain't she? Something like that. And she smiled and blushed, and no one got offended. Like, that could have been really dangerous, like to like condescend and patronize, a woman, like a Western white woman like that. You can totally get in trouble. But because it was happening honestly, because I touched the nerve, the deeper truth in a good way, like, no one had a problem with it. No one got offended, and life went on, and she actually kind of liked it. And I could have pursued that a bit further, but I, of course, did not, because that's, a little gross in terms of ethics. But so yeah, many young women may have got offended by that. Many young Western white women, especially. Chinese girls, you can always do that. Oh, you're so cute. Really? Like, I've never seen a situation where they go, hey, buddy, I'm not cute. I'm a woman. Even like 40-year-old Chinese women and Asian women, like, it's just strange to them to be like they may prefer you to call them beautiful instead of cute, but they won't like reproach you for calling them cute. That's kind of strange. It's like if a woman calls me strong and I say, hey, no, I'm not strong, I'm handsome. You really fucked up. It's like, what? So a refuter who may be in my live stream right now may say, oh, you're not following the Ethos Maxim, because your initial response, wow, that's dumb and obviously wrong. You didn't immediately act on that with no, but actually, yes, I did. Here's why. So I have one response. Wow, that's dumb, obviously wrong. And my first response to that is, wow, that first response is too strong. And then the third response is, I should look at this a bit more clearly. And then the fourth response is, oh, she's a cute girl being cute. And then the fifth response is, this is actually the real truth of what's going on here. And the sixth response was, that was the one where I just did it. And I said something cute. And it also worked because I didn't think about what words to say. I just responded in an instant, like, oh, you're so cute. So those 5-6 steps I just counted out for you happened in 3 seconds. And so this is what separates like the red belts from the black belts is like 1 second, And yes, this will just take time to practice, but that's what it is. That's what life is. So I hope I can give you the structure of how to play the game, and you can start playing the game. I'm telling you, once you start playing the game, it's a fun game. JA says I'm a smooth operator. Dude, in that situation, honestly, I really was. I have some very good memories of New Zealand across the board. A few bad ones here with some sheeple, actually. But anyway, I still don't like those cultures, those Anglo-Saxon cultures. They look so beautiful on the outside, so pristine. And then you start to get deeper into how they're doing things in their business and then their families. I'm like, ugh, this is gross. No offense. So that's it. That's the end of the blog post. Stay wise. Yours truly, Ethos. Another reason I'm not so good at blogging, I don't know how to really format this nicely in WordPress. So it's kind of small print. But you can just zoom in. Wow. So hope that's okay, y'all. Oi! What you saying about Anglo-Saxon culture, mate? You heard what I'm saying, you bloody Brit. You heard bloody well what I'm saying. And I'm going to say it again. I'm going to drink 10 more stouts and I'm going to say it even louder. And there's nothing you can bloody do. Because you're all a bunch of wankers and you're taking the piss. You don't even piss yourself. You're always taking the other's piss. And your sewage system is garbage. All right. I don't know what else to say. I feel like that was... No, yeah. So I said I would give more examples. So, well, I already gave a bunch of examples, but... well, there's different kinds of subhumans, right? So Aristotle's example, when he talks about bestiality, not having sex with beasts, but just following your animal instincts without the rational oversight to control it, he says that's animal life, basically. And that's what a subhuman is. It's someone who is behaving like an animal, thinking like an animal, in a way looks like an animal if you're looking at just their behavior, but they're just in a human body. And my main point here from this whole blog post and this whole 1 hour and a half or whatever stream is, just treat them how they are. So if someone's 80% a zombie and 20% human, you should probably treat them like they're 80% zombie and 20% human. Like, and there's many different kinds too. So this is how it works. This is how it's worked for me. There's sheep, there's pigs, there's zombies, there's robots, there's rabbits. Like, there's all these different shapes that people are shifting to. There's different dimensions. I think it's an actual thing that happens. Like, some of the cutest young women I see are actually rabbits. Like, they have like a little like nose. They just look like a bunny rabbit to me. Like, they're hopping around, and in that sense, yeah, they're subhuman. Oh, they're animals. But guess what? They're a really cute animal that doesn't really harm anything. And when I just treat them as a cute little bunny rabbit that doesn't harm anything, they go, "Oh, thank you. You really see me for who I am." Like, that's actually what happens, you know? And this is what everyone does, you know? It just the practice is cultivating perception. So first of all, you can actually see things as they are. That's huge. And then trusting your intuition. And then step 3 is acting on your intuition instantly, as quickly as possible. Once the system is set up and the strategy is in order, the steps are in place, you have to be ready to act, which for many is probably the most difficult step. I know for me, using the girl in the hostel example earlier, I've been in many other situations like that where I didn't say anything. Was I braver in that instance? I don't think so. I think I was just fortunate, and kind of like the timing was just perfect. It was just natural, and it just happened. And that's why it worked. So what I'm trying to give here is a natural ethics that's not conjured up by my mind or anyone else's mind. It's the craft that's naturally inherent in our world as rational beings. And not many people are talking about this, and fewer are doing it, and even fewer are excellent at it. But it's a fun game, and it's the best place to be, except for going higher than that, which is like self-realization, enlightenment, God, etc. That's the only thing higher that I've found. Maybe culture. Like, culture is interesting and pretty, but like, if you travel to 100 countries and you go, "Oh, I can speak Japanese, I can speak Peruvian," but you're an asshole, but you don't have ethical character at all, like, how many real friends are you going to have? How much real happiness are you going to have in your life? How much honor, respect will you have? Not much. It's when you don't have strong ethos, the only goodness you can really have in the world is purchased. It's temporary. There's nothing stable to it. And we definitely want, especially in these times, we want something as stable as possible. So for me, the Ethos Maxim is exactly that. It's how I am human in a subhuman world, and I'm still figuring it out, and I'm still practicing at it. I'm not a master at it. I'm not even close, actually. When it comes to the Ethos Maxim, I'm probably a yellow belt. Like, that's it. And I'm just being as honest as I can. Like, I'm a white belt who just got on my yellow belt. That's the level I'm at now. But the level that everyone else is at is like 0. They're not even a white belt. Like, most people are not even a white belt here. So I want to give you more examples. Like, yeah, let's go back to all the different varieties, because that's really funny. Like, there's like pigs, like mainland Chinese fall into this kind of subhuman, where they're pigs. They like to eat. They're fat. They're noisy. They they take up space. Like even when they're driving, like I hated seeing this. Like when they have to go past someone, they go, ooh, they go all the way. They go so far out to go around and then so far back in to pass someone. And it's like, dude, you're just fat. You're fat in your mind. It's not even just your body. You're just like fat up there. And that's how they are. That's how they act. And that's how I treat them, you know? Like, so when I really want to make a mainland Chinese person happy, I say, look, I got a feast over here. I got the best rice. I got all the kinds of drinks, and we're going to drink as much as we can. And if you can't drink as much as me, I'm going to call you a coward. I'm going to castrate you. And they go, whoa, I love this guy. They really start to respect you more because that's who they are. So see how it's starting to, like, I hope this starts to make sense. Like, it sounds bad when you talk about it. Yes, I know. But when you're actually living in the world and doing this correctly, everyone loves you for it. So with me, I'm not a subhuman, but with me, for the kind of human I am, you should treat me like the kind of human I am. So come up to me. Don't even say, hi, how are you? Just say, hey, I saw this verse about Aristotle in chapter 3, verse 8. That's perfect. That's what I need. I need people coming right up to me saying, oh, yo, you heard about the Bhagavad Gita? Hey, do you want to talk about theology for the next 2 hours? I'm like, yo, perfect. This guy knows me, understands me, respects me, loves me. I love him. Bam, best friends instantly. Because that's who I am. So just treat me who I am, as who I am. Done. Really simple. Japanese are robots, of course. They're very restrained. They have a very specific behavior that they follow strictly, and automatic, mechanistic, machinistic. They're robots. So if you give them a kind of oil, you know, that will really cleanse their gears to make them even more efficient, they go, whoa, this is very good. I pay good money for this. What about Israelis? I'm not sure, but Israelis are actually really awesome. I went to Israel just for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I met super awesome people there, super good times. Israelis, I think humor is really important for them because they have a tough life there. They have a lot of enemies they're surrounded by. They have to go to the army. And one way that I think they combat suffering and adversity is humor. And it's a very like specific, very adult kind of humor. It's a lot like the Chinese humor, actually, where it's very like they're quick to insult you or say something strong about you, but it's a shit test. They actually love you, but they want to know how much they love you, if that makes sense. And yeah, when I think about my experience, like I was a kid. I was like 15 or I was like 16, but I don't remember meeting a single Israeli that I could consider subhuman, to be honest. Not a single one. There was one kid, Baruch, who was kind of goofy and like I didn't like him, and there seems like something wrong with him, but I don't think he was subhuman. Like he was still trying to be rational. That's what a human is, or at least spiritual. That's another good definition. Americans are the most dangerous subhumans I know because they're ignorant and like mindless and obedient like a sheep, but they're absolutely not harmless. They're extremely harmful, and they can be very violent and aggressive very quickly. So actually, sheep and sheeple is absolutely not the appropriate word for most American subhumans that I know. Wolves? Like, I know it doesn't fit with the metaphor at all, but they might actually be wolves. They like to be in packs. That's really important for them. They have their group identity. That's hugely important for them. But yeah, they're largely just ignorant, like crazy ignorant of so many things. And then you accuse them of being ignorant, and they say, well, no, but you're ignorant. So I think they're a wolf, actually, because like wolves are always in this kind of just like they're just ready to attack kind of mentality, and they're in packs, and that might be it. Maybe bears. Zombie. Zombie is the best word for Americans, I think. Yeah, because zombies have that like harmful, aggressive aspect about it, and the ignorance as well. And zombie is probably the most accurate example of a subhuman anyway, because all the other animal examples and the robot example, that's like animals are animals, humans are humans. There's kind of a large jump there, a categorical jump, but subhuman, that word means, yeah, they're still human, they're just a little bit lower. And I think zombie really captures that the best. And also projection is a big clue here. So look at all the zombie movies coming from America. And young American kids love zombie stuff. That was like the huge fad recently. And in China, what's the most common insult that you hear from every age range possible? 你是猪吗? Are you a pig? That's what they say in Chinese everywhere. And I'm guessing in Japan they say, wow, what are you, like a robot? Why are you so restrained? Like, this is, like I said, we all know who we are. At some level, we all deeply know who we are. The problem and the solution is just uncovering these layers until you get to the core. And when you get to the core, that's what you are. And you're always going to be happy the closer you get to who you are. Why not? I mean, it's hard to explain, but it just makes so much intuitive sense at the same time. But it's really hard to explain. Yeah. So what I'm really personally concerned about are the zombies, the wolves, the dangerous and aggressive subhumans. Those are really tricky, and for them, what's possible? You can throw some bait somewhere else. So if they start to try to attack you, you can say, oh, but they're even worse. And you just like throw something over there and they go over there. Or you run. That's it. Because if you start fighting back against them and they're a pack of 200 million and you're one guy, you're going to lose. Yeah, pigs are way easier. You just give them some great food and they're happy. And once again, as I said, you just gotta treat the creatures on this planet and every other planet as they are. So here's another example: the leftist SJW. A lot of those kinds of people are coming from a place of female tyranny, which is like it's a motherly thing. So it's like they're a mama bear that like either lost her cubs or she lost control of her cubs, and she doesn't know where they are. So instead of dealing with her cubs, which is what she wants to do, she's trying to fight someone else in a fear, anger, reaction based mentality. So in that sense, try to give her babies back, you know? Oh yeah, I support equality. See, look, you just have to do it in a funny way so that you're not kowtowing, but at the same time giving her what she needs, which is her baby cubs back, so she can feel that she's allowed to nurture something. The whole system is just so messed up. Anyway, this topic is not done with. This is absolutely not settled, but for now, it is. Because I am a little bit hungry. My throat is struggling. So, that's all. Thanks for listening. And I will see you all next time. Please subscribe, hit the bell, write a comment. What I really like is some advice on what people want to hear in the future. And I also really want people to consume all of my free content because there's a lot of it that's really good and totally free. So, ethosananda.com, ethosananda on social media. Oh, at the moment, chapter 1 of Ethos is free on Instagram. I'm going to post the final verse shortly. So, have a look at it. See you next time. Stay wise. Peace.